Ambassador, first of all, I would like to thank you for accepting us here in the Embassy of Poland in Azerbaijan, and for us it's a great pleasure to see you here, despite of this situation with this quarantine. But anyway, it's very nice to see you face to face, to interview you. That's very great pleasure for us.
Thank you. I'm also very grateful for you and for your colleague to come, that you will able to come here. As I said before, it's for us something that is normal, that is very useful in our diplomatic work, to meet people, to make connections, to network with the others. So I'm very glad that I can host you here at the embassy that is friendly, and we are also located in a very beautiful part of the city. So thank you for coming, and I'm ready to answer all your questions.
Thank you very much. So before this interview, I decided to make some list of questions, and now I hope you will answer these questions, and we will have very nice and interesting, useful interview. Can we begin now?
Yes, but I can, of course, I'm ready, but I'm also ready for any questions that you will have apart from those that you already said. I prefer to have it like a conversation, because I think it's very useful to talk to each other.
Yeah, that's okay. Mr. Ambassador, how did you react to the news that you were appointed ambassador to Azerbaijan? What came to your mind in the first place, and have you been to our country before?
Thank you very much. When I get the information that President Andrzej Duda is going to entrust me with the responsibility of being an ambassador of Poland to Azerbaijan, I was it was a huge distinction for me. Being an ambassador, I think, is a dream of every diplomat, professional diplomat, including mine. So it was a joy for me, and I recognize this as a sign of appreciation for my previous duties, my service. But also I felt a little bit nervous. Would it be possible for me to fulfill all the expectations? Because this is the first time that I'm an ambassador. I worked for the diplomatic service for already 17 years, but this is another step for me in my diplomatic career. So I felt this responsibility, but also I hope that I will cope with all the duties that are entrusted to me. As far as Azerbaijan is concerned, I had the privilege to be here many times before, because on a daily basis I was cooperating in Warsaw, working at the Ministry of Azerbaijani diplomats posted there. I was a deputy director in the Eastern Department of our ministry, so I was personally responsible for the cooperation with Azerbaijan. So I was to Baku many times before, and as I said, I cooperated with my colleagues from the embassy in Warsaw. But I think that being an ambassador and living in the country is only the occasion that gives you this opportunity to confront your ideas, your expectations with the reality, and to know the place where you are posted. And for me, it's of course I felt also this openness, eagerness, and curiosity to come to Azerbaijan, to meet people that I already knew, that are very friendly, very hospitable, and to work to strengthen our relations.
Mm-hmm. It's not your first visit to Baku, yes, but
No.
very first work as an ambassador.
Yes, this is the first work, so I am sure that Azerbaijan will stay with me regardless whenever I will go, and in my next postings I will always remember Azerbaijan as the place that I started this career as an ambassador. So this is something very important for me.
But from our side, we wish you only good luck and success.
Thank you very much.
And at what level are relations between our countries, and what are the prospects for these relations? How do you assess the economic ties between our countries, and which project have you already been implemented and which are expected?
So I have to start with saying that Azerbaijan and Poland have a very good relations. Our relations are free of any touchy issues. We always in the history of Poles and Azerbaijanis were always very connected, and we cooperated. Not many people in Azerbaijan know about it, in Poland also. So, but anyway, we have a good fundament for our relations. However, I have to admit that the economic dimension of our relations, it's not as developed as we would like it to be. So, realizing the instructions from both our presidents, President Duda and President Aliyev, we are trying to facilitate the economic cooperation between our countries. What is important here, I think, is that this necessity to encourage our business people to cooperate from both countries. I mean, authorities of both countries understand that it's very necessary for us. So it's also the reason why we opened here the trade office in Baku, and I know that also Azerbaijani side opened the Azerbaijani trade office in Warsaw. So we have a very good, I would say, framework for cooperation. Our president also signed an important strategic declaration on cooperation in the economic field. So we created all the necessary base. However, of course, it will need more efforts. What is important here, I think, is that Polish and Azerbaijani economies are complementary. Mm-hmm. Azerbaijan exports energetic supplies to Europe and Poland, and the supplies that are needed there. We are, as Poland, we are very good in transforming economies. We undergone all the transformation recently. We are modernizing our country very successfully, being also a member of the European Union. We are the only EU member that is developing, I mean, in terms of GDP. Our GDP is growing every year, I think already 30 years. Each year we have this increase. We will see how it will be this year, of course, but the situation is not normal for anyone. But anyway, we are very successful, and we created new fields in the economy. We are very good in agri-food products and other sectors of the economy. So, and Azerbaijan is also conducting a very ambitious program of transformation and diversification of its economy. So there is a natural, I would say, space for us to cooperate in this. What is also important is that we have a very similar ambitions. Azerbaijan is located in a very important place on the map of the world, as much as Poland. We try to be hubs, and we plan to be hubs, transportation hubs that will link continents, countries, regions, and we already cooperated this. Poland and Azerbaijan are part of the so-called Southwest Corridor, together with Georgia, with Ukraine, with Kazakhstan, and there were a few rounds of discussions concerning this particular corridor. So there's enormous potential for our cooperation. What is also important is that as Azerbaijan and Poland, we are very much, I would say, crucial to the regions. Mm-hmm. And Poland is, as you know, also the part of the Visegrad group. Just yesterday we took over the presidency for the next 12 months from our Czech colleagues. And Visegrad group is also cooperating with Azerbaijan. We plan to continue with this cooperation. Already, as a Visegrad group, we realized few programs to help Azerbaijan to fight with the COVID pandemics. And as you probably know, just last week, the Polish military plane landed in Baku, yeah, with also medicines and a few medical devices that we think it will be helpful in fighting this coronavirus that affects everyone. It is another sign of very good cooperation, I would say a real one, useful. And what is important here, I think, is that our cooperation, Azerbaijani and Polish cooperation, we are very flexible, and we try to really find those niches that are very actual, very real, to help each other in difficult times, but also to have this vision for the future as this transport corridors. There's also, of course, for example, the Polish ports on the Baltic Sea that modernized recently very heavily. Polish port in Gdańsk became the largest port on the Baltic Sea, and they are cooperating also with Alat port. They prepared and they are ready for signing a cooperation agreement to exchange experiences our port is going to increase its capacity to create a free zone, so they are exchanging experiences in this field as well. But of course, there's also this not only economy, not only I would say political, but also the social dimension of our relations, which is also very, I would say, promising. There are more and more young Azeris that are coming to my country to study, and they know that they can get a good education on our universities, and at the same time they can get a good diploma that is recognized worldwide. So there's a reason why we noticed here also in our consular section the increased number of people who applied for such a visa, student's visa. There are also more and more Azerbaijanis that would like to work in Poland. Unfortunately, now that the situation is not normal, so the visa section is closed as much as the others of the European Union, but we know that when the times will finally become normal, the number of people from Azerbaijan that will visit Poland will be bigger and bigger. What is important for me is also to bring more Poles to Azerbaijan. We will discuss it maybe later on a bit more, but to create this flow of people both ways. And here's also the tourism dimension. I think that Azerbaijan has a unique opportunities for development of tourism, as much as Poland has. So we are already in contact with your tourist office, and we plan to discuss the possibilities how to increase the, I would say, recognizability of Azerbaijan in Poland and Poland in Azerbaijan.
In your opinion, what are the main differences between our people, between Azerbaijanis and Polish people? Say please, in your opinion, just main differences and the similarities.
Well, I would say that there are more similarities than one would expect. Recently in the press, my Azerbaijani counterpart, Dr. Hasan Hasanov, who is an ambassador to Poland for many years and who knows Poland and Poles very well, said that Poles and Azerbaijanis are, regardless of their geographical distance, they are very similar to each other. They are in fact brotherly nations, and I will agree with this. I agree with this opinion of my colleague. I think that both our nations are bound by the respect for the freedom, for the tradition, close family ties. We also share a lot of in history, struggle to get independence after the First World War, this heritage of totalitarian communist regime that occupied both our countries, and then at the end of the last century, the revival and struggle to create modern, prosperous states. So there are more, I would say, in common that differs us. But of course, there are differences between Poles and Azerbaijanis. As you know, Poland is mainly Catholic country. I would say, tradition is more oriented towards the West and the Mediterranean. And of course, Azerbaijan, as being mostly Shia Muslim country, is more connected to other regions. Both, and this religion aspect, of course, it has its influence on our culture, our language, our literature, our tradition, customs, and so on. But what is, I think, also similar in both our countries is the respect for other confessions, the tolerance that we share with Azerbaijan and with Azerbaijanis, the fact that Poland was the first country in the history, I think, as far as I know, that prepared and accepted the law in the 17th century about the constitution about the tolerance, while there were religious war in the West all over surrounded us. And I know that Azerbaijan is also very tolerant country, that without any problems being Muslim, Catholic, Orthodox, any religion. So this is something that is very similar, but it creates a lot of very interesting thinking our cultures. And I think that this is I would say that this is the main thing that for me is important, to bring our people together, to broaden the knowledge of Poland here in Azerbaijan, to present opportunities that stream from this for the Azeris to visit Poland. I know that there are more and more Azeri people who are coming to Poland every year, that they fall in love with Kraków, with Gdańsk. So there are more and more Azerbaijanis who are coming to Poland, who are falling in love with Kraków, with Wieliczka salt mine, with Gdańsk, with Mazur lakes, with Warsaw and its beautiful old city. So I would like also to make Azerbaijan more popular in Poland, because you know that there's a lot of links between Poland and Azerbaijan. And I would like to make Azerbaijan, to make Poles more aware of the heritage that is here, Polish heritage here, and that the Baku will choose to associate with most of the Poles only with Stefan Żeromski, Early Spring. This is a famous book of Polish author Stefan Żeromski about basically the struggle for independence at the beginning of the 20th century, but it started very much in Baku. With the main character, Cezary Baryka, who came from here, who was his fathers were working in the neft industry. But anyway, it is so famous because it was a lecture in school, in a high school. So everyone from in Poland who has a middle education, he knows about Baku. But we should do everything possible also with our colleagues in Azeri embassy in Warsaw to broaden this knowledge, because there's there's beautiful mountains here, you have great lake, you have, I would say, very interesting folklore, and this is also the reason why to come to Baku, to visit Baku, and vice versa. Poland is a very rich country, it's a big country with a lot of regions. With a I would say, heritage of different cultures, more Western, more Eastern, and there are a lot of customs that are very interesting for the people. We have a good cuisine, we have nice dresses, we have very modern also products that can be very interesting for Azerbaijanis, and I'm sure that we together we can really increase the number of people who come to each other and to visit respective countries. So this is basically what I can say about it, and for me, maybe I will also share my personal experience here, because as I said, I was to Baku a few times, but it was just a short business trips, accompanying my ministers and deputy ministers, so I didn't have opportunity to discover Baku, and now being here for already a few months, I'm really in love with the city. I really, every day I try to walk and to discover another part of the city. I'm very surprised to get to know how many buildings designed by the Polish architects are here in the center of the city center, because probably you know that at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th centuries, the mayor of the city was a Pole, and the four main architects, I mean consecutive, from I think 1980 up to the First World War, were Poles, and they were most of these beautiful buildings that are surrounding Shaher, I mean the building of the area of Baku, National Academy of Science, the Maritime Academy, the Wedding Palace. They are all the Tagiev Palace. They were all those buildings that were designed by the Polish architects. So it is, for me, a Polish ambassador, is very nice to walk along the streets and to see how beautiful it looks. And there's also some people in Poland say, because you know that my city, my home city, Warsaw, was destroyed during the Second World War, almost completely. But they say, if you want to see how Warsaw looked like before the war, come to Baku and see all the buildings that were built by Polish architects. So this is, I think, also the reason why we should make this more, the knowledge of this more, to broaden the knowledge of this in my country. And I think this is another, I would say, potential that Azerbaijan has to invite more tourists to. So the boulevard is also the beautiful thing. I think now it's very important for all of us, for all of us Bakici, to have this opportunity to walk Otherwise, we will just sit at home, and it will be very, very difficult for all of us. But being here and walking every day, you can see how the trees are blossoming, how the plants are changing, and this is very good for, I would say, not only physical but also mental health of all of us.
Before, I wanted to ask a very interesting question about what you like more in Baku, in Azerbaijan, but you answered this question very nice. And so I decided now to answer another question.
Yes.
What don't you like at all in Azerbaijan?
What I don't like?
Yeah.
It is difficult to say because I didn't have much opportunity to I would say work outside the embassy because of the conditions that we are here. I would say maybe not like, but I think you have to, being a diplomat, you have to be ready to get to know some differences and to accept them. For me, difficulty is maybe that you are more like southern people, I would say, like in the Mediterranean, that you do not pay so much attention. You are a very good exception, but you are not paying too much attention to the time when we are, arrange a meeting at 1 o'clock. Sometimes it's past, and everyone's difficult to understand why maybe we are not so relaxed with this. So this is the difference that I think. But you have to get to know how it works and then to accept it, because this is the way people are living here, and you cannot fight with this. It won't make any sense. I must say that I already visited Baku, but I'm waiting impatiently when it will be possible to travel outside the city, because my colleagues already told me how many beautiful things that you can see outside the city. I only managed to visit Sumgait and the Absheron National Park, which is close to Baku, and it gives me a hint how colorful and interesting Azerbaijan is. But I would really like to go more into the regions, because I know that they are very different from each other, and you can find whatever you like. I know that Azerbaijan has like 9 climate zones, starting from the Alpine to the subtropical. So I think this is something that I would like really to explore, and I am very glad that I'm here in Azerbaijan.
But many foreigners say that they hate this traffic. What about you? What can you say about traffic in Azerbaijan?
Well, traffic is a problem, but I think this is a problem of each modern city. I think it will change when people will understand that it's impossible to go by car to any place you want, and probably it will. We had this in Warsaw as well a few years ago, but now people are more accustomed to use public transport. They are more using. We have bicycles, city bicycles that you can rent. There are more and more people using scooters, motorcycles. So I think in a few years that will also come to Baku. What's more, you have as for me as an official, most of my partners' institutions are located in the city center. So being here, sometimes I prefer to walk than to take my car. Of course, it's not for me. It's not always allowed as an ambassador to walk, but I prefer to come to the office, which is 5 minutes walk from here, than to spend 30 minutes in car staying in traffic jam. But this is the life, and I think this is the life of all modern cities. And I would say that this is also a proof how dynamic and modern and developing Baku is. I know that there is a big increase in numbers of inhabitants. It's not easy for any, I would say, city council or city major to somehow accommodate the city to the traffic and to the number of people. And this also manifests that people are becoming richer and richer, yes, because they can afford buying cars. So if you have 2-3 cars in the family, it means that you can afford them. It means that basically the country is developing. So you can always look on this, let's say, problems from both perspectives and see. I'm a person who tends to find a positive aspect in everything, because otherwise life is so difficult for us anyway, that we have to focus on those positives that we can see in every situation.
And what can you say about the Azerbaijani cuisine? Do you have any favorite dish?
What I like in Azerbaijani cuisine is the richness of it. I think that this is also something similar to the Polish cuisine, that our cuisines are a nice mixture of the west and the east, the south and the north. You have a lot of things that came from the Central Asia, from Persia, from Russia, and, from other regions. So this is something which I found very interesting. What I like very much in Azerbaijani cuisine is also that this extensive use of vegetables and fruits. I like it very much. You have perfect fruits and vegetables, so I found it very nice because it's not always the case. Personally, I like very much this shak plov, which I think is very unique for Azerbaijan. I know there's always the discussion because I was also dealing with the Central Asia countries at the ministry. So I also visited Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and I know that Turkmenistan, and I know that every country has its own distinct plov, and this is something that you can be proud of how to prepare it. But this one is, I think, unique, and it's very good. It's very nice. It looks nice, so it's also a good dish or meal to offer to your friends who come to visit you, because it's something very unique. So I would recommend this. What is also, I think, very nice here in Azerbaijan is also that you, being a coastal country, you have fish, which is, for example, it's not so often in Georgia. You can eat good fish here. You can find it. You have these fish restaurants on the seashore. So I would say, in general, I like everything. Recently, I discovered doga, which is, I think, something also very interesting, that you can buy it in a shop, and it's very nice, especially now when the weather is when the weather is hot. It's very good. So I didn't know this before, and now it's my discovery. So I am buying it very often, and this is what I like. And also all the dairy products, kefirs, yogurts, cheese. You have very good products. So tomatoes, full of the sun. You can really taste the tomato here, which is not unfortunately a case in many places in Europe. But then still we have a lot of things that we can exchange in our countries, and this also in this food agriculture field.
And your wish to Azerbaijani people?
Oh, what I would like to say to Azerbaijanis is that we would like you to know that Poland is very hospitable, is a very friendly country to Azerbaijan and to Azerbaijanis, and that we are waiting for you in Poland, and we invite you to visit our beautiful country, to get to know the richness of our country, to meet the friendly, hospitable people of Poland, and to understand how similar we are to each other, regardless of this geographical distance. And for both Azerbaijan and Poland, I would like to wish that we overcome these pandemics, that we will be strong and healthy, and that we will be able to come back to normal life, and to develop our countries, and to become leaders. Poland in Central Europe and Azerbaijan in Caucasus.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for accepting us here. Thank you very much for this interesting and very useful interview. That was a very great pleasure for me. Thank you.
Thank you. This is my pleasure to host you here. I hope that this is not our last meeting,
of course not,
and not last interview. We are always ready to host you here at the embassy. So please feel free to call us, to contact us. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
Thank you.